As a youth of color struggling to survive in Detroit, I'm furious at the conditions in which people are forced to live. Detroit has always been under constant scrutiny by the media, who will have you believe that Detroit just went bankrupt overnight. My city is pretty much just shat upon. But Detroit's debt was intentionally created to justify its systematic destruction. Big banks trapped Detroit in toxic swap deals that they knew Detroit could not afford right before the housing collapse, in which banks were given low interest rate loans by the Fed to bail themselves out. As a result, austerity measures have been introduced repeatedly to cut funds to health, education, and other social programs in a predominant city of color. These cuts spell disaster for workers and oppressed people, especially the youth of the city, who are struggling to find work in a state with a reported 18.8% unemployment rate as of July 2013, but a comrade told me it's even higher. Recently, the Detroit Free Press reported a fall in the unemployment rate to 7.2%, but don't let that fool you. That's not recovery. This doesn't take into account the people who are underemployed like myself or the people who have simply given up looking for work. It's no longer uncommon to hear of youth students and non alike, who work 2 and 3 jobs just to make ends meet. Often these jobs are part-time and ununionized, forcing youth to work overtime to just sustain themselves and pay bills. The most expensive being tuition right now, which is steadily ballooned up. Nationally, student debt is at $1 trillion. That's an insane number, you guys. Austerity measures also mean more scholarship programs and initiatives have lost funding, even at state colleges, which are supposed to be more affordable. This dissuades college and high school students from even pursuing a degree because they know the reality that even with a degree, many students are going to be stuck in low-wage jobs that seek to exploit their labor as these corporations expand globally and maximize their profits in record numbers. Many youth are forced to stay with their parents or move back in because they can't afford dormitory anymore or apartments due to rent increases. As a student and a part-time worker, I struggle to commute every day by public transit. That's also seen dramatic cuts in routes and workers, including the drivers and including the maintenance workers. So the buses are completely dilapidated, just like the houses that they have to drive around. These issues recently reached a fever pitch on October 22nd when the Transit Union Local 26 rallied in front of the Coleman A. Young Municipal Center, and they stated multiple grievances, including erratic scheduling, bus maintenance issues, and violence. But all they reported on in the mainstream news was that it was just the issue with just the violence. They didn't make it a union issue. They didn't make it a racial issue. They didn't talk about the fiscal issues that really have led to the destruction of the infrastructure of the city. Both the bus drivers and the commuters agree that the overcrowding and arrival times have created a hostile relationship that makes conditions dangerous for all. In a city that is already heavily policed by state troops, the answer to the bus issue has been to install surveillance cameras. This is but one of a series of reactionary attempts that the state has enacted to supposedly create order, while they divert citizens' attention away from the underlying fiscal reasons for the crumbling infrastructure and economy. From foreclosures to a lackluster bus system and school closing, the message is clear that those who are the most vulnerable in the capitalist system matter the least. But there is a solution, one in which the workers are unionized and are entitled to safe working conditions and fair wages. Education will be a right that will not chain youth to insurmountable debt that leaves them overstressed and overworked, without the means to access to proper health care or even afford basic necessities such as food. No longer should individuals and families be forced to choose between feeding themselves, paying bills, or putting gas in the car. That's my struggle every day. Government entities that only seek to perpetuate war, exploit other countries and their resources must be dismantled. What is needed now more than ever is a system that truly guarantees the right to life by ensuring people that the very basic things that are needed to build and nourish life are ensured and guaranteed to them. Like Caleb said, that's not radical. That just makes sense. That is human dignity. Youth today have no future in this system, and they must unite with other young workers and oppressed youth to fight against imperialism and build socialism. And the youth are going to be the ones who lead this, especially youth of color. And just one more thing. When Caleb was talking about the city and talking about the Black Panthers, on my way here, I was talking to comrades. I was talking to Abayumi, and he was telling me how the Black Panthers were targeted not only by the FBI and other covert operations, but they were targeted right in the city by stress, which I had no idea about. There would be these stumbling drunk white cops, they pretend to be drunk, and they would hope that kids would approach them so they could say that they were about to rob them or something like that, and they could throw these kids in jail or kill them. They also did this at a house that there were 3 students who were armed and fighting drug houses in Detroit, dismantling them and sending them out of the hood. But all of the cops who were getting paid off by these drug houses stayed there and attacked these kids and killed some of them. Allow me to quote one of my favorite revolutionaries, Malcolm X, El-Hajj El-Malik Al-Shabazz. I kind of messed up his name. We are not fighting for separation. We are not fighting for integration. We are simply fighting for recognition, the recognition to live as human beings free in this society. Because I don't feel free. And I know youth of color do not feel free in this society. This society cannot lie and say that racism doesn't exist, sexism doesn't exist, and that homophobia doesn't exist. It does. And it's going to take a multinational, multi-class, working movement to solve everything that this system has completely destroyed. You need to fight with fists. Thank you, comrades.